The Russo Japanese War was a military conflict fought between the Russian Empire and the Empire of Japan from 1904 to 1905. Much of the fighting took place in what is now northeastern China and the Korean Peninsula. The war was a significant moment in world history, as it marked the first major military victory of an Asian power over a European one in the modern era, shifting the global balance of power. The primary cause of the Russo-Japanese War was a dispute over the control of areas in and around Korea and Manchuria. Both Russia and Japan had significant interests in these regions, and as their spheres of influence expanded, conflict became inevitable. Russia wanted a warm water port on the Pacific Ocean for its navy and for maritime trade. Vladivostok was operational only during the summer season, but Port Arthur would be operational all year. Japan, on the other hand, sought control over Korea and parts of Manchuria for strategic and resource-oriented reasons. The war officially began on February 8, 1904, when Japan attacked the Russian Eastern Fleet at Port Arthur, a naval base in the Liaodong province of Manchuria. This attack was a surprise nighttime attack 3 hours before Japan declared war on Russia. Several key battles during the war determined the outcome. The Battle of Port Arthur early in the war was a prolonged siege that eventually fell in favor of the Japanese forces. The Battle of Mukden, which took place from late February to late March 1905, was one of the largest land battles to be fought before World War I. The Japanese victory at Mukden removed the last significant Russian land army from Manchuria. The Battle of Tsushima in May 1905 was a decisive naval battle that ended any hopes Russia had of winning the war, or even negotiating a favorable peace. The Russian Baltic Fleet was virtually annihilated, while losing only 3 torpedo boats on the Japanese side. Japan's technological advantage during the Russo-Japanese War was a critical factor contributing to their victory. The Imperial Japanese Navy had adopted a strategy of rapid modernization following the Meiji Restoration of 1868. By the time of the Russo-Japanese War, Japan's naval fleet was equipped with several British-built state-of-the-art warships, such as the battleships Mikasa, Asahi, Fuji, and Shikishima. Japan's battleships were generally faster, had better weaponry, and were more maneuverable than their Russian counterparts. Particularly, the use of advanced torpedoes in night attacks proved devastatingly effective against the Russian Navy. The Japanese artillery forces had also undergone significant modernization and used high-quality Krupp guns of German design. These guns were typically superior to their Russian counterparts in terms of range and accuracy. As well, Japan's proximity to the theater of war gave it a logistical advantage over the Russians, who had to transport soldiers and supplies over the lengthy Trans-Siberian Railway, which was incomplete and single-tracked at the time of the war. The Japanese were also more efficient in mobilizing and deploying their troops, which gave them a significant edge. The Russo-Japanese War is often regarded as the first modern war because it employed the latest technology and tactics, including machine guns, trenches, and extensive use of railroads and telegraphs. With the war going poorly for Russia, and internal pressures mounting due to the 1905 revolution, Russia sought peace. US President Theodore Roosevelt helped mediate the negotiations, which took place in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. The Treaty of Portsmouth was signed on September 5, 1905. In the treaty's terms, Russia recognized Korea as being within the Japanese sphere of influence and agreed to evacuate Manchuria. Russia also ceded the southern half of Sakhalin Island to Japan, and Japan also received the lease of the Liaodong Peninsula and the railways which Russia had built to further its own ambitions in Manchuria. The war marked the emergence of Japan as a major world power and demonstrated the strength of the country's military. The victory was a significant boost for Japanese morale and nationalism. On the other hand, the defeat sparked political and social changes in Russia and was one of the key factors leading up to the Russian Revolution of 1917. It also marked the first major military victory of an Asian power over a European one in modern times, challenging the contemporary racial hierarchy theory of the inherent superiority of the white race, and shook the faith of many in the West in their assumed position of cultural and racial superiority. The Russo-Japanese War reconfigured the political balance in East Asia, and has a significant effect on world history by setting the stage for the geopolitical developments of the 20th century.